Senator Alma Francis Heilegger, while Senator James gets prepared.
Thank
You're
you.
recognized for your 4 minutes.
Good morning. Good morning to the people of the territory, to my colleagues, to the testifiers. Um, First of all, before I continue, I would like to thank the people of the territory that gave me another opportunity to represent them in the 35th legislature. I think all the support that I continue to get has afforded me the ability to be untied within this institution and really be a voice for the people continuously. But the first set of questions I would like to ask, Vaitima, we had a conversation about a year and a half ago in regards to additional things being done to the 911 system. Are there any new or upcoming improvements to the 911 system that could potentially aid and assist persons with disabilities? For example, one of the things I had touched on was texting into the 911 system. And I know I was told within about 6 months or so that was something you guys were looking into. Is that something still on the forefront? Or in addition to texting into the system, are there other things that you guys are planning to assist persons with disabilities to get more assistance?
Uh, Good morning, Senator Francis Heiliger. Yes, the answer is yes. The text to 911 we have not completed. We're this close to that.
Okay.
We have implemented the Rapid SOS. Rapid SOS is a device. If you call 911 from any mobile device in the territory, even if you are disconnect from the call, we can locate you down to the very spot that you're located.
Okay.
So if you call 911, that's new and that's critical to the structure of 911. The TTX system, the text to talk for people with hearing impaired, and also we're working on another program that we have the language line, which has over 100 languages for for translating. Those are new, and then the final one is that we're working on is the 4 keywords, and I know I use it's an app that every distinct location that you're at, there's a key down to again the very spot that you and we can locate you on the water, on land, anywhere in the territory if you call from your mobile device.
Okay, good. Those are great improvements.
But not the text. We haven't instituted.
But we're
the
this
text.
close to it. Okay.
And we have a new system. We have integrated a new system. All our technology has been upgraded, and that is complete.
Okay, good. Well, anything that could greater allow individuals, even with persons with disabilities, to get better assistance. I would also like to put on the record
1 minute.
The ASL employee individual that works in my office, she wasn't stolen. She came willingly. She came willingly. And in addition to that, she still does serve the public as a member of my office, and she assists very well as I always make sure she could have time off if anything major happens, okay? I also wanted to ask, why do you think that ADA compliant shelters or having adequate amounts seems to be an issue here in the territory? And how do you think this bill is going to assist with improving that?
Well, it's important when we look at discrimination or not allowing persons to be able to have the needed space that might be required for individuals with whatever levels of challenges. So the space in between the beds or the spacing or the ramps or a person like you said with the ADA requires that you have the same access as everyone else. So, we make sure that those qualifications are in place. And as we rebuild the territory, everything that we're rebuilding right now is also being rebuilt in ADA compliance. So it brings us to a better position where persons, no matter what type of challenges that you have, if you're capable of being in one of the stand-up shelters that we have, that you would have the same access
Okay.
like everyone else.
Excellent. May I ask one more question?
Please proceed.
I appreciate you. With this integration, this will now put Vitima at the forefront in really working and assisting persons with disabilities through emergencies, et cetera. What are some of the critical areas that you lack currently that you believe that with this integration will now propel persons with disabilities with a much better emergency situation, et cetera?
Attending a lot of the trainings that like Tima put forward, because of my office being as busy as I am, I can attend a lot of those trainings. But having a team of individuals that will be able to focus in on follow up, not just the message or the training, but the follow up component is very important because even following up to individuals after the expo, you ask them, did you register for BI, Alert BI? No, I was going to, so things like that is where you would then have the time to sit down and say, let me help you register.
Okay.
And so to make sure that we're not just doing something and speaking and then you're leaving, you'll be able to really focus in on the barriers or gaps that we have. And that's, once again, that's something that I work on all the time. However, having this unit where we can conversate, where we can work together, where we can look at the barriers, because this is not going to be just something that you throw up in the air. All these things will be part of a plan.
Okay.
It will be part of sitting down with Vitima and my office, and we're saying, okay, this will be something that we should have in the next 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. And then we work towards those goals. Working towards those goals, we would have gaps. And with those gaps of height in work or not, then we look at the territory. And once again, sharing in those conversations, we'll then work with my office in looking at other things to make the territory barrier free. And that's one of the goals that we're going to start in January.
Excellent.
And we would need these integrators involved.
Thank you so much. Well, Mr. Chair, thank you for the additional time. I am in full support of this piece of legislation, and we will vote accordingly as the amendments come through. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heileger. Next, we have Senator Alma Francis Heileger. You're recognized for your 1 minute.
I appreciate it. I am an individual that, as a senator, one of the things I want to make sure that any piece of legislation I support or vote on benefits the people of this territory. And I just would like a quick synopsis. How do you feel that overall, whether it's people coming to the territory as tourists, whether it's individuals that live here, people that might be facing disability issues in the future, how do you think that this bill overall will assist individuals?
Well, we're planning to do barrier free, and barrier free means that we want to have on tourism website to have a web page, and that's already in place. To then have an assessment of all the transportation that's accessible, all the excursions that's accessible, all the restaurants or hotels that meets those requirements. So if a person wants to come to the territory, they don't have to call you, Senator, and say, where can I stay? You could just refer them to some place that professionally we have looked and make sure that they have those criterias in place. So, once again, all of that is building into what we do. And that's a major undertaking, but a lot of that is going to be sent out to those individuals. They send that information back, and then we decide if you meet that criteria for us to come out to validate that you're accessible. So it's a great question. I'm glad that you touched on that.
That is a great, may I? Senator Bolka? That is a great question, Senator Francis Heilger. As you know, thousands of people come to this territory on a daily basis. And as emergency managers, we see things that you don't. We anticipate what could happen. We don't know on a daily basis how many people are coming off a cruise ship that are wheelchair bound or who have vision impaired but we know if something happens, we have to manage that because they become our responsibility when in the territory. So working with this integration coordinator would be actually an opportunity for us to work with the cruise ship and the airlines and whatnot to see how many people do we have to manage, and how do we take care of those people when they're in the territory? So that's a really great question.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And for point of information, what 3 words is the app? And January of 2023, text to 911 will start.
Thank you.
All right.
I will be looking forward
right.
to that. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chair.
Senator Alma Francis Heileger. I'd like to Senator Alma Francis Heileger, you're recognized for your 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon to my colleagues, to the people of the territory, to the testifiers, central staff, everyone. I'm kind of direct. To be honest with you, I was not one of those individuals that was happy when the Office of Gun Violence was created, and I'm going to share with you why. I really honestly thought it was a duplication of bureaucracy. But at the end of the day, it's here, and I am a very fair person. So I am going to make sure that I pay attention, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to see what comes out of the office, because the ultimate goal is to benefit the people of this territory. That's all that matters at this point. What is the main thing that you guys have identified is the reason why gun violence is so high in the territory?
Well, the main thing is that through our studies and the research that we've done so far is that it's a small group of people that are performing most of the crimes that are involved with each other. It's not rampant madness. It's just it's retaliatory, it's targeted, it's you disrespected me, so I come shoot you, and then your cousin comes and kills me. It's that kind of attacks on each other that we're witnessing across. And then there's those rare occasions where it's something just kicks off, like that, but most times it's targeted and directed.
And in order to showcase that potentially that the Office of Gun Violence is working, are you guys working with the police department or plan on working with them to potentially deal with the hundreds of unsolved murders here in the territory, especially those that are gun related? Because in order to show some type of success for me, we have a lot of cases that already exist. And the reason why some people think that why these things continue is because if somebody kills someone and gets away with it, what's really stopping the next person from doing it? And we live in a community where we literally have hundreds of unsolved murders. And how do you intend to tackle that aspect of it to really help with making sure that this division in office is successful?
Well, the cold cases or old cases, that's the Virgin Islands Police Department's purview. I got to be, very respectful to the police department. I know they're doing their best. We do work with them, but our focus is for the more immediate occurrences, prevention immediately. And
well, don't you think that solving unsolved gun violence
absolutely
would not assist with the immediate perception of, hey, don't go do that because we will catch you?
I mean, that would be current.
Okay.
That would be current. So yeah, I agree that if we can solve old cases, that'd be great.
1 minute.
But we don't. The Office of Gun Violence is not a law enforcement office. We don't investigate crime.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I said if you're going to be working with them.
Yeah, the police department is another group that's on our advisory council.
Okay.
So we've been very, very. Commissioner Martinez was very supportive of our program, and so he knows the system intricately. And so we're working very closely with him. As far as the old cases, that's for them to deal with.
I'm data driven, like my last colleague was speaking about. How do you think that once you collect all the necessary data that you spoke about earlier, how do you think that's going to benefit your office in resolving or giving the perception that gun violence should be minimized here in the territory?
The data gives us information into where our most current and most active problems are.
Time.
I hate to use the word hotspots, but
Okay.
the data gives us direction of are those people, who are frequent flyers, who are the ones that are doing the most crime in our neighborhood. And then we collaborate with our local and federal law enforcement agencies. And first, we try to mitigate the crime and work things out. But if we find that the people that we've identified are at risk, are the ones causing crimes, and then they're not cooperating with our walk and talks and our program, then we turn that folks over to the police department to render
Okay.
the law enforcement piece of it that we don't do. The other thing I think that brings to your point is that, when we think about crimes and people there's a lot of detainees sitting in jail waiting for trial that's going on for 5 and 7 years, and the longer we wait to handle those things and move those court cases along and bring to closure those cases, that makes a problem because there's people directing murders from jail. So that's another thing we need to work on, and corrections is on our advisory council, and we're working with that as well.
May I ask one last question, sir?
Please proceed.
Thank you. We spoke a little bit about your partnership in working with governmental agencies. What about some of the nonprofits? I know initially when this office was opening, there was a major concern about a lot of the nonprofits that do similar type work. For example, say Victims United. That's an example of one that did something similar. How do you work with them to ensure that these nonprofits that are out there directly, continuously touching lives on a day-to-day basis, continue to get the job done within this community like they have continuously done for years?
Well, some of our events raise money to help those organizations stay afloat.
Good.
So, we do that. We've been Mr. Ramon has been in contact with a lot of our, we created the community resource list that has contacts of nonprofit organizations and what they do in line with victimization, crime, anything to do with our office. We try to make sure that we're contacting them, and because we're not at odds with anybody else. We know
Okay.
people are doing good work, and our job is to help support them if they're doing the same thing, or collaborate with them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the additional time, and thank you for the responses.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger.
Leading up the team anyhow. Yeah, he'll be leading up the
I
team.
suspected that. We're going to move forward to Senator Alma Francis Heiliger for her 5 minutes. You're most welcome.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
Good afternoon, Senator.
Good afternoon, testifiers, people of the territory. My first set of questions has to do, I remember we had some conversations before where there were some concerns with individuals and taking testing in a specific time frame, or they might have to be terminated.
Yes.
What's the status?
Tomorrow begins the refresher
Okay.
to complete. After this completion, that's it. Stands will be taken. But we're working with them we think that it's going to happen.
They're going to make it
Yes,
through?
this time we have brought in some new trainers, and we're confident with the help that is being given to them internally by our chiefs and Mr. Evelyn. I think we have a successful program after this training.
Okay, excellent. I know there were several suspicious fires that happened in the territory, and I know you guys said the federal government, et cetera, was involved. What's happening with those fires? Because I myself in the community are a bit curious because it's been years for some of them. What's the status?
Chief Hodge, you want to chime in on this one since you lead prevention unit?
Good afternoon, Chief Hodge. You use the word suspicious, but actually we have gotten verbally from the federal government, from our ATF partners, that some of these fires, I don't have the list right in front of me, but some of these fires have been either undetermined or accidental. When we use the word suspicious, it gives a negative connotation to the public. But we're just awaiting a written report from ATF agent.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, you don't know if it was something malicious or not because it's undetermined. And as for some of them, they were accidental.
Correct.
Okay.
And that is from our ATF agents along with our investigation.
And when do you anticipate a full reporting on this based on outside of the conversations you guys have been having? And will any of this information be available to us or the public so we could also read or understand what was happening because, during that time period, it was a grave concern that we were just seeing fire after fire, popping up around that time period. So, is that information going to be available to us?
We hope to have that information by year's end.
Okay.
As you know, our ATF partners, they are not focused, or the Virgin Islands is not the only investigation that they have going, but we have been in contact with them, whereas we have expressed our importance in getting this information to the people that needs to know.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm big on grants. I'm a firm believer in utilizing as much opportunity as we can to get money and utilize it to help the territory. So, what are some of the things that we've kept up with? I know I was listening to some of your testimony, but are there any specific grants you guys would want to go after to really, really help your department or agency?
An excellent grant writer will speak on that, Ms. Hewlett.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Shannon Akers Hewlett. So we are going to go after the TAP grant and the two DOI grants, which is the MAP grants and the TAP grant.
Mm-hmm.
And those we got last year
Okay.
or the year before, last year, yes, to buy the Cascade units and to buy fire trucks. And we're going to go after those again this year. And we're going to see if the CIP award grant is still available and do that one too. Any grant that comes up, we usually apply.
1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I was able to attend one of the graduations the other day where fire persons graduated. Have we gotten to the point where do you think we have enough in the territory, or you think we need more? Do you need additional?
That's a loaded question.
You see?
That's a loaded question.
You said it's loaded. I'm because at some point I'm looking at our population. What percentage of ratio that we would need for a specific department or agency in comparison to what's needed? And that I'll phrase it that way.
So using our model here in the territory, we work with minimum money.
Okay.
To keep costs down, and that's been our problem for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do, this team have not allowed our staffing to go under a certain amount. So what we do is every squad we try to keep it at the maximum threshold, so we could have enough personnel in the stations. That's why we do the strategic hiring. So this year, what we plan with the vacancies that are still allowed is hire 10 more at St. Croix, 10 more at St. Thomas. That should give us a cushion for anybody now that is looking to leave. At the same time, trying to ramp up our EMT processes to those individuals who are working right now. We want to get them up to the paramedic or the advanced level and start plugging some of these younger firefighters into the EMS section so we can now get rid of that cost that we have car Pafford.
Okay, excellent.
That's the plan that the team has.
And you think that plan would be most effective?
We think so.
Okay. Thank you so much for the answer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.